No, go away, you fucking helicopter.
This is the home of the uncommon mind.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to discuss a career option. It's that time of the year. The universities are all getting ready for their kind of new intake. They're signing up, going to schools, career days, all of that jazz. And we've got a lot of people who are going to decide on their future career. I was there, all my friends have been there. And it's a big question. It's a kind of rest of your life question. And for a lot of people, they won't take a gap here to really kind of sit and think and figure out what they want, where they want to go in life. They'll kind of settle in a career and off they go. And I've been getting questions from people, from mostly my clients whose children want to go into design. My niece wants to become a designer. And I thought, hey, I'm a graphic designer. That's kind of my main jam. And over the last 10 years of being in this profession, I've got some stuff to share that can help or detract from wanting to be in this career. Now, the point of this video is not to detract you from the career. What I'm going to tell you is my experience, what has happened to me, what I've gone through, what I continuously go through, and you can then take that information and do with it what you want. In most cases, it is a 3-year period of study to get your diploma. Certain cases, it's 2 years, but it's a multi-year study program to do it correctly. It's expensive. Most universities and colleges charge an exorbitant amount to study there. To qualify, it's in my case, and I think in most universities, most reputable universities, there is also a couple of week or couple of month internship that's required before you get your qualification. Then you're into the big bad world. You've just spent 3 years to study, you've done an internship, and now you're a designer, right? You're the shit. Then you start as a junior, where, oh, and I'm just rethinking about my life. You start as a junior, where you are most probably going to do things like business cards, letterheads, the occasional poster, a lot of probably deep etching of photos, not particularly creative things. I mean, you've just spent 3 years studying, pushing your creativity, pushing to develop it. Then you get into the big bad world and you realize that it's not as creatively challenging as you have been preparing for. So you start with the small jobs. I started at a printing house where I was kind of the in-house designer for clients who come in, they see a business card special, they've got a business idea, they have a business established, and they want a business card done. So I would charge them to quickly design their business card and then send it off to print. Or I would receive other clients' printing job requests. I've got to format it to be ready for mass print, and then I would send it off to get printed. So there wasn't much of a design challenge that I had to go through. That challenge came when I went into the more corporate world and I climbed the ranks from junior to senior. That's where the bigger jobs come. That's where you have the more challenging jobs, the more creative jobs. Even though in a corporate structure, there's usually a brand guide that you have to follow. So you are being creative in a box of this company's brand, which can be its challenge on its own. And it can be a very rewarding challenge all on its own. The deadlines are usually extremely tight. You've got to make magic happen. You've got to sacrifice hours to get it done. Unfortunately, the reality of being a designer is that if you have the work funnel, you get the people who are creating it, like the creative directors, whoever, and then the worker bees, the managers, etc., etc., and then you get to design. Design is the end of the funnel. It's the last step before a job goes to print. Print demands a deadline because there's a certain amount of hours or days required to do a printing job. So those are not highly flexible. So what happens is if you've got the printer at the bottom who wants something at a certain time, you've got the business at the top who wants something done, and you are stuck at the very pinnacle of that, and you have to do what you need to do to get that job out, done, looking good, checked, rechecked, proofread, checked, changed, redesigned, to get it ready for print in a certain amount of time. More often than not, your deadlines are not considered for a project plan. They'll give a day, 2 days maybe for design, because designers are not included at the planning phase, where you can tell them, no, we need 4 business days to do a design. That is usually not the case. So there's a lot of pressure. It's a very high pressure environment to be whether it's corporate or agency design. There is a lot of pressure. Agency design, I think, is even worse because you get hired for a client. You get hired for a certain job or a certain series of jobs, which also have an incredible turnaround, incredible pressure. Then there's the sort of freelance work that you can do as a graphic designer. Unfortunately, most of companies have a clause, if you have a permanent contract, that you're not allowed to do freelance work. You're not allowed to moonlight. There could be a conflict of interest. There's a lot of factors that they have to take into account. So say you are at a company that you can do freelance work. Freelance work can then only be done after hours. It is your personal time that you are giving up to do this work. You're going to be tired from a day's work, and then you've got to go home and do a day's work. It can be stressful. It's not the vision, I think, that people have of like the digital nomad sitting somewhere in Bali with a Mac on their lounge chair and a cocktail and some pretty bird fanning you. That's not, unfortunately, the realistic reality for a lot of people to go through. More often than not, a freelance job is done after hours on your shitty laptop at home. That's the reality of it, unfortunately, in most cases. But when it comes to freelance work, there's also a lot more to consider. When you're full-time employed, you get your salary, great. But when it's freelance, you have to set your own rates. And that is where there's a problem. Because when you get clients, when you post your fees, when you start entering that field, I can guarantee, and I say this confidently, I can guarantee that you will get a few clients who approach you for a job. You go through the entire exercise of the brief, what to do, how to do it, what's required, what's the output, what's the deadlines, and then you get to price. Then you give an estimate of what your price is, and the client does a complete 180 and be like, but why is it so expensive? Why is it pricey? Why do you charge so much? You're just a designer. I have a cousin who can do design. I could have taken this job to them. I guarantee you will get that. And at the beginning, I even more guarantee you that you are going to drop your price. You would drop it by up to half, if not more, per hour. Because you want to impress this client. You want to get this job. And that is your prerogative. I did it, I fell for it, and it set a very dangerous precedent. Because then whenever that client approached me again for work, that was the rate that they were expecting. And if I even want to think about upping that rate, then it's chaos and hellfire once again. Then I get made to feel as though they are doing me a favor. Can you imagine how they would feel if someone goes to them, into their boss's office, and tells them that person, that human, you are paying them too much per hour, they're not worth that. That person will be in HR's office before the blink has fell, and there will be chaos. Yet they feel they have the right to do that to you. It is the unfortunate part of being in a sort of service industry. People have this idea, and it has been molded, unfortunately, by the people who are involved in the industry. The industry itself has been degraded and watered down at such a level that anyone is a designer. If you know Photoshop, you become a designer. If You can work an app on a phone good enough. You become a designer. And that mindset, and the people who charge themselves out as being designers, without being qualified, without having the student loans, without having the work experience, because they have knowledge of an application or an app, they call themselves designers. They charge themselves out at a third of industry standard per hour, and that's what other people expect. Because what they do is they go to the cheap folk, they get their fingers burnt, they go to a real designer for actual quality, but then they want the same price as the cheap person. You get where I'm vibing from? That's what you'll be walking into. Very rarely have I gotten a client where I said I charge X per hour and they're like, great, let's go. More often than not, you get told, this is my budget. Can you do it in that budget, yes or no? Then you have got to make the decision whether the drop in price is valid. Because when you enter the freelance world, your price per hour is the value you attach to yourself. And that value cannot be a flexible thing. If you are billing fairly and at the right industry level, and you are qualified and you have experience, that is your price. You should not be dropping that price. If you want to drop your price for friends and family and those kind of things, shot. That's your decision. Good for you. It should not be an expectation. In this industry, unfortunately, years of experience does not equate to rate per hour. That might be the case in lawyers or whatever the fact is, but a designer's price, I have 10 years of design experience. I can charge the same rate as a designer who has 2 years experience. That's unfortunately the industry that I'm working in. That's the reality of the price that I have to deal with. And it's hard. So I just don't want anyone who's thinking of a career, who's thinking of going into this field, to have the wrong idea of what it is. Because it can seem glamorous, it can seem amazing, it can seem like it's this beautiful thing because you are making the world beautiful. And in a way, yes, but you're an employee. You're still trying to live. You're trying to survive. And that's a challenging place to have to be in. And if you know yourself and you are not someone who is good under pressure, someone who does not have good people skills, someone who's does not have the ability to sort of diffuse tension, to be analytical and creative at the same time, if that's not your personality, then I would sincerely suggest a rethink of strategy, because those are skills needed to flourish in this industry. And make no mistake, you can flourish. You can earn a great deal of money if you do it correctly and if you are the right kind of person. But it requires a lot. It's not an easy sort of field or industry to break into. But at the end, even though it seems like, oh no, this pressure is too much, it is quite rewarding when you sit at the end and you look at the original document that you got, you look at the output document, and you actually have quite a big sense of pride that it was you who's responsible for creating this visually impactful, this journey, this story from words. It is something that I personally find quite rewarding. Some people will not think that input required does not equal the reward you feel. I personally do. You know what? Honestly, I really do love my career. Being a graphic designer is literally my main jam. That's my shit. I love it. I'm exceptionally good at it. I'm exceptionally fast at working at it. And I love it. I really, really, really love it. And you know what? If you are the kind of person who is analytical and creative, extremely detail orientated, you are quite business savvy, you have an aptitude for learning and picking up trends and noticing things that is kind of going through social media, if you are that kind of person and you love that sort of detail, design is for you, because you will make it in the industry if that's your mindset. We are the people who shape the literal physical vision of the world, of marketing, of advertising, of communications. That's us. We are tasked with that job, and it's an amazing job to do. And I do hope that one day the world sees and acknowledges what an amazing kind of responsibility that is. Because we shape the way products show themselves, the way companies show themselves, the way brands are interpreted. We visually show it. And that is something that is stunning to see. Please remember to like, to subscribe, to leave a comment. Remember, the comment section is yours. My social media will be listed down below. Please follow me. I recently started a Facebook group. I'd love to get the community on there. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Ciao.